What's up guys, Pete here and welcome back to the show. Today we've got another sponsored knife review, this time by a company called Kubey, who very generously offered me their budget tactical folder for review. As always, let's start with the general specs here. Total length of this knife is 6 inches. The blade itself is 2.5 inches long, the blade steel is 8CR14 MOV, and it is hollow ground. Now moving into the handle, we have black on tan G10, that is over top of stainless steel liners, as this is a liner lock knife. Opening mechanism, or at least the primary opening mechanism, is this flipper tab back here, which works flawlessly. It does also have dual thumb studs if you're more inclined to use those, which also work just fine. Then you also have the pocket clip, which is currently set up for tip down right side carry. It is also reversible for tip up carry. It is not, however, reversible for left side carry, so keep that in mind if you're a left-hander. And it has this lanyard hole down here, which also works very well. Now, let's start about some of the things that I really like. First thing is this handle. That G10 is very, very nice, and it's surprising in this price range. This knife costs anywhere from about $13 to $16 depending on when and where you pick it up. And it's kind of rare to see G10 in that price range, but it's very nice when you do. G10 here is implemented very nice. The black on tan is very aesthetically pleasing, which is always a plus, but it's also very functional. G10 is an excellent handle material as it's very robust and rugged and durable. It'll last a nice long while. Plus, it's got some great traction to it, which is important in a smaller form factor knife. Now the next thing that I really like is the deployment. That flipper is executed perfectly, and it's kind of a hard thing to do in smaller form factor knives. The main issues that you have is that a smaller knife is generally going to have a smaller flipper tab, which means it can be harder to get good purchase on it. And the second issue is that the blade itself normally is relatively light in a smaller knife. Without that extra weight, that extra momentum, it can be hard to carry its arc. Generally, you'll have the knife stop somewhere out here, and it's kind of a pain. Not the case with this. It's all working just perfectly. It's very, very smooth out of the box. And fortunately, there's no, slip anywhere. The blade is very secure, which is always a nice touch. Always an extra, bit of added safety there if you can feel confident that your knife's not going to, fall apart on you. And then the last thing that I really like about this knife is the blade itself is set up perfectly for slicing. It's a very often overlooked fact about a knife nowadays. They'll look gorgeous, but they just won't cut. The geometry just isn't right for it. Fortunately, that's not the case here, however. The blade is perfectly set up for slicing with a very nice and thin blade stock and some nice deep hollow grinds here. And a huge added bonus, it came out incredibly sharp in the box. Very, very smooth cuts, no issues whatsoever. And that's without me doing anything, just right out of the box it's cutting like that, which is very impressive for this price range of knife. Which brings me to my final conclusion for this knife. This is an absolutely amazing budget knife to use as a backup to your main carry. I'm a huge advocate for carrying a backup knife for a couple of reasons. The main ones just being that, I like to abuse my knives. I'll use them for all manner of things. But I'm not going to beat up a really good knife if I have a knife that's a little bit cheaper that I could use. For example, you're doing some roofing, or at least I was. I had to cut through some roofing tiles. I'm not going to do that with my nicer knife. That's what the Kershaw Leak is for. This knife is an excellent slicer. It performs very, very well, so you know it's going to get the job done. But because it's only about $13, $14, you're not going to, start crying if it gets a little beat up. And while for some it's a con, that cheaper blade steel is very easy to sharpen up. So while it may not hold an edge for very long, it's very easy to bring that edge back, which is super important because we don't want to spend 3 hours a day resharpening our knives. So overall, very well done, Kubey. You created an excellent little folding knife here that is very, very good for the price. Not an easy thing to find nowadays, but well done. I would highly recommend you guys check it out. I'll put a link down in the description for you to check out this knife and some of their others. It's a very nice little offering and definitely a good thing to look at if you're looking for a cheap backup knife or maybe your first knife to start collecting. So that pretty much covers everything I want to talk about today, guys. Thanks again for watching. As always, please like, subscribe, and comment down below if you have any questions about this knife or anything else on my channel. And as always, guys, please keep your edges sharp and your mind sharper, and I'll see you in the next one.